Hi, everyone. It's Dr. D, and I want to welcome you to MA Healthy Living, where today we talk about stress awareness. Today, November 3rd, is Stress Awareness Day, and this happens every year. What I think is so powerful about setting the tone for talking about these type of topics, these type of interventions, these type of solutions is that it can happen not just on November 3rd to bring awareness to everyone, but it can happen each and every day. What I find most often when I speak to people about stress, their stress, awareness of stress, and being able to identify action steps they can take each and every day to achieve a more balanced mental health, we often run into this one obstacle. It's not as easy as you think, right? People can identify that they are stressed, and with some education, people identify what stresses them. And with even greater internment, meaning we turn a look at ourselves, we can also identify things that are unique to our stress and our stress response. But there's this next step that so many people struggle to achieve, which is making changes. We often talk about the importance of waking up with an attitude of gratitude, being mindful. Is that as easy as just telling someone to do it? It's not. So on 2021's Stress Awareness Day, I want to find a way to capture a top list for you for things that you can do today. Is it powerful to wake up early and not reach for your phone, but instead have a moment, a deep breath in and a deep breath out, some meditative practice? It's absolutely effective. And yet that does not appreciate the fact that there may be an alarm going off. It doesn't appreciate that there may be someone running behind. It doesn't appreciate that today may be a difficult day with a lot in front of you, which first and foremost makes us believe we don't have the time to create a meditative practice. So I want to encourage you from a stress awareness standpoint to turn things internal. I want to encourage you, not if a meditative practice feels like it's outside of your grasp, if it's outside of your capacity, to simply take a 1, 2, 3 approach. Simply count to 3. Even better if you can count to 10. Count to 3. If you can get to 10, just a slow 10, 9, 8. You see you picking up what I'm laying down, right? Before you pick up your phone, before you flip on the light, right? Before you go, oh, there's so much to do. Now, let's say that before there's so much to do, cat captures you before you're able to count to 10 or 3, 2, 1, before you grab that phone. Maybe that hot minute catches you before you're able to take a breath, before you're able to take a moment, before you're able to do a 1, 2, 3. Can you work on when you catch your breath and you think about what needs to be done? You wake up with that urgent thought or to that alarm, right? Can you think in that moment to be present for just that moment and go, oh, I just caught my breath. 1, 2, 3. Even that kind of presence with you, not a meditative practice, but it is being present to what's going on in that moment and being aware enough to capture a moment. 3, 2, 1. Just with that act, you have started your day off on the right foot, not on your back foot. Now let's think about some other practices to pay attention to. Getting up, moving around, that is so important. Is fitness a part of your waking routine? Is it a part of your nighttime routine? Is it a part of your routine at all? We always say that physical fitness is the very best antidepressant. It's what nature provided. But nature in and of itself can provide a fantastic solution for you when it comes to stress awareness, turning inside and understanding the things that stress us, but also giving time. And people think that's weird that I want you to give time to the things that stress you. I don't mean running them over in your head. I don't mean playing back and forth how you could have done something differently. I simply mean acknowledgement. Acknowledge that the stress is there. Acknowledge that the stress is real. Acknowledge that you are not alone in this stress. Well, what's going on in your life is personal, and what's going on with you is personal. To understand that you are actually a part of a bigger web, a bigger community, and that people have solutions to these types of concerns, and that talking can be one of those solutions. Walking can be one of those solutions. In fact, the ancient Greek philosophers often spoke about nothing good comes without walking. No good ideas come without walking. And there are two things that are in place with good ideas coming to you with walking. You are physically moving and you are out in nature. So I want you to think about ways that you can encourage this type of activity from a stress awareness standpoint, to acknowledge stress, but also to have a solution, right? Something that you can do today that's beyond get over it. You know, everybody has it, so why are you making it such a big deal? That's not acknowledging what's going on, right? But to recognize it for what it is, right? Reminding yourself 3, 2, 1, and acknowledging that I don't have to let this upset me. What I can do is sit with it. I can make friends with it. And I can come up with a good idea, a good solution by walking, right? Now, one of the things that I'm going to encourage you to do when you go out for a morning walk, or you take time to walk around the parking lot at work, you take time somewhere in your day for this walk and good thought. I want you instead to make sure that you don't have anything that will distract you. So your phone does not get to accompany you on this walk, right? This is where we are in nature, we are walking, and we are letting our thoughts and our ideas be in comfort with us, be in concert with us, be in synchrony, being synchronous with our walking, right? So that we are giving acknowledgement to that which stresses us, but we are also thinking about this is part of my solution, which is sitting here and moving and thinking and being one. And I know that that can sound esoteric, but nature and movement can do great things to create that breath that we so often find ourselves just holding on to, right? Many of us go through our day with a little bit of tension, almost as if we're holding our breath. What I want to acknowledge is you're not human if you don't feel that way, right? Because we are being hit from all sides with stressors, demands, expectations, both from those around us and those from our own expectations, right? So when we think about stress awareness this year, I want us to think about being aware of our stressors, but also being aware of simple steps that we can take, because it's not enough. I acknowledge it is not enough to say everybody's stressed, get over it. As long as you know it's normal, it's no big deal. I want us to think about what we can do on a day-to-day basis that can help us achieve health. What about how stress affects us mentally, how stress affects our sleep, how stress affects our immunity, how stress affects our diet, right? How stress affects our gut. I want us to think about all of those things. And it's true that if there's an event, an acute event going on right now, if there's a long-standing stressor, if there's an episode or a length, right? A full series of events going on, it's not enough to simply tell people, yeah, it's stressful, get over it. And I know I keep repeating that, but isn't that the message that too often we're told? Is that you should do something about your stress, right? Maybe no one told you get over it, but somebody definitely told you, oh, you have to do something about your stress. Oh, you're going to have to find a way to manage your stress. Oh, you need more balance in your life. All of these things may be true, but none of them are action steps, right? None of them are, they're calls to action, but none of them are actually the step that you're going to take to achieve it. And that's why I want to talk to you about how does stress affect your mental well-being? How does it affect your sleep? How does it affect your weight, diet, and sense of well-being and energy? If it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen overnight, that we all of a sudden become these amazing philosophers that are able to manage our stress, balance our lives, and all of a sudden spin all of those plates, right? And do it seamlessly. We're all going to be perfect. Of course, that's not a reality, right? So we start with what we can do. 1, 2, 3, or 3, 2, 1. Walking in nature, because good thoughts come to you when nature and fitness collide. And then what we're going to think about, what are the things I can do with my diet, my sleep, and my sense of well-being? Well, there are functional nutrients that are profoundly beneficial at bridging many of these gaps. Melatonin is one of them. Melatonin is a neurohormone. It's a hormone in the brain that many people take through supplementation. It is not considered in high amounts where we think of them in foods, that food sources being a great source of melatonin, but that does exist. Many people will supplement with melatonin as little as 1 milligram, often 3 milligrams, and very frequently as much as 10 or even 20 milligrams, depending on what's going on. So when it comes to diet and melatonin, your first solution is to not eat late at night. Make sure that if you're someone that just pushes themselves to the very end of the day, that you're not snacking before you go to bed. Many times people will say, I don't get home until 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to ask you to have a plan for tomorrow so that you don't eat at 10 o'clock at night, that there is some kind of healthy and nutritious snack that you can have with you earlier in the day that's easy for you to take so that you can cut things off when the sun goes down, right? If not right when the sun goes down, because with the changes in season, of course, we see changes in our clocks, and we'll see changes in the sun coming up and the sun coming down and our daily routine. Right? So maybe you're not the person that's going to go to bed at 8 p.m. You can be the person that stops eating at 8 p.m. Right? So even if it's not within what you feel is your routine, you can have a plan to not eat late. That is the first way that you can, through diet, get this bridge between stress, sleep, weight, and well-being, and melatonin, right? So we're going to think about melatonin as being one of those ways that you can kind of bridge the stress gap, bridge the sleep gap, and bridge that weight gap. Now, what I want you to know is that melatonin is not a weight loss neurohormone. What it is a neurohormone that can help balance cortisol, stress hormones, which have an impact on weight and well-being, energy and well-being, immunity and well-being. So I want you to think of melatonin in that vein, right? As something I can do that's going to bridge many of these gaps in my day, to support me, not just in my stress awareness, but in the action steps I'm going to take to be better balanced, right? So when someone says to me, get a handle on that stress, we can say, I've got a plan, right? What else would you want to think about besides melatonin? You're going to want to think about a really powerful amino acid called L-glutamine. So glutamine is the amino acid, but the L form of it, which you'll often find in supplementation, in addition to L-glutamine being very beneficial and abundant in our diet, we can definitely get L-glutamine from multiple places. But what I want you to know, even if you have a very balanced diet between your fats, your carbohydrates, and your proteins, and that doesn't mean isocaloric, right? I'm not talking about a 30-30-30, right? But I want to make sure that you're getting enough of these fats, carbohydrates, and proteins in your diet, because we want to think about good sources of amino acids. But many people don't realize that their stress is burning through their L-glutamine stores, their L-tyrosine stores, which is another really powerful amino acid for stress, but also for the aging metabolism or the thyroid. We don't realize that we're burning through these amino acids very quickly. So we have to think about adding in some cellular factors. We have to think about adding in some support for the aging metabolism, the overly stressed metabolism. And L-glutamine in supplement form is one of the ways that you can do this. You're always looking for a gram or better. Individuals that have poor digestive health have stress and find that their stress impacts their digestive health, or they have an aging metabolism and find that they don't have the energy, or they just don't feel as robust as they used to, will really see benefit with L-glutamine, right? So if you fall into any of those categories, you're above the age of 40, you find that you are overly stressed, you're therefore burning through your amino acids very quickly, you feel like you have a sluggish metabolism, or you have GI concerns or complaints, in particular, you can point to being problematic during stressful times, then I really want you to think about the amino acid L-glutamine. L-glutamine in at least a gram, 3 grams very often being consumed is one of the ways that you can support that kind of digestive health. Now with melatonin, what we're thinking about is we didn't just pay attention to melatonin, cortisol, sleep, and weight. Now we're paying attention to digestive health, better absorption, energy utilization. And I think we can all appreciate when we feel like we have more energy, more gas in the tank, we feel like we can take on a little bit more. And these are some of the things that I want to talk about from a stress awareness standpoint. Your stress, albeit persistent, does not need to be one of those one of those things that adds to premature aging. It doesn't have to be one of those things that leaves you with a sleepless night. It doesn't have to be one of those things that adds extra centimeters or inches around your middle, your hips, and your thighs, right? What we need is an action plan. And that's why I talk about L-glutamine as being one of those ways that we can bridge some of these gaps that many of us struggle with: sleep, energy, weight, immune function, because that is also one of the superpowers of L-glutamine, which is supporting GI cells, specifically the gut-associated lymphoid tissue. So we do see that much of the immune system that wraps around the intestines is fed well by the amino acid L-glutamine. That L-tyrosine I mentioned, looking at somewhere upwards of a gram, can be very beneficial when we think about aging metabolism, where stress makes someone feel like they're behind the 8 ball, or someone that is concerned with healthy thyroid function or brain function. So these are some of the ways that you can use amino acids for the aging body, the stressed body, the individual that wants to achieve better energy and support their overall health, in particular when stress is one of the concerns that they have in their life. And lastly, I want to talk about the power of probiotics. Now, this is, again, a target is digestive health, but what many people are not aware of is that probiotics, and particular strains of probiotics, are very beneficial when it comes to mental health and well-being, not just weight and well-being, or digestive health and well-being. So one thing that gets overlooked with probiotics is they get kind of pegged in this bucket of digestive health, is that they play a role in weight, they play a role in mental health, they play a role in cardiovascular health, a sense of energy or well-being. So I want us to think, when we talk this year about being aware of our stress, is not just acknowledging it, right? Not just recognizing it and then kind of categorizing it into, our daily stressors, our family stressors, our work stressors, our aging stressors, our relationship stressors, right? And identifying what are some of the steps I could take, right, to be in control of my thoughts, my actions, the steps I'm willing to commit to feel like I am a better me. And then paying attention to some of these nutrient choices that even when we feel like we are a little bit behind the game, when we feel like there's a little bit more help that we need, when we are trying to bridge the gap to our better lifestyle habits like as healthy sleep and healthy self-talk, healthy movement. Supplementation can be one of those things that helps us achieve our long-term goals when it comes to stress awareness. My name is Dr. D. This is MA Healthy Living. And what I'm wishing for you is a fantastic year of taking care of yourself, because when you take care of yourself, you take care of your community. You first find wellness within you, and then you can help spread wellness around you. Until I get to see you next time on MA Healthy Living, go be healthy, go be brilliant.